fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
What's up, everyone? Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at a legendary Christmas pull, Clone Captain Vaughn. As mentioned, this was a Christmas pull from the land way up north, the legendary mythical Wisconsin, known for all of the nothing going on there. There's a legendary Latendi, the 212 Hunter, and he made sure that my Christmas had something really, really cool this year. So this entire video is dedicated to the Dairyland King himself, 212 Hunter. Thank you very much for this. We were on Xbox, and I was talking about my Hot Toys decision with Clone Troopers, how I don't really want to army build, but I want to get representations of all the legions that I like. And I have the Kenobi Series 501st Trooper, and it's beautiful. And I have the Wolfpack Trooper that you saw me review the other day. And I was like, man, you know, my true favorite legion is the 332nd. It's just the 501st on crack, you know, the 501st with extra Ahsoka respect. And we all know I'm Ahsoka's biggest fan. So I was just trying to think of, man, how do I get like a 332nd trooper on the shelf and it just doesn't look like a 501st trooper? And I was like, oh, Captain Vaughn, that's the way I do it. I don't care that he's got a name, you know. I mean, and I love Captain Vaughn. I mean, just, you know, one of the first tear-jerking moments of Season 7, you know. And so Captain Vaughn needed to be added to my collection. But I was like, dude, you know, it's right before Christmas. I'm buying presents for people. And then he's like, okay, well, Captain Vaughn's on his way. I ordered it for you. And I'm like, what the hey, dude? So thank you so much, 212 Hunter. You've always been a legendary friend, and I owe you immensely. So anyways, thank you. This video is dedicated to the Cheese Prince. Let's get into it. And here is Clone Captain Vaughn in his box, which we're going to take a quick look at because I like looking at action figure boxes. This is your standard Hot Toys box with the black background with the kind of like gray on the corners of the box. You have a nice image of Vaughn holding his blaster at the ready. You have a silver embossed Star Wars logo. You have the wraparound band with a picture of Vaughn. His name being TMS 065 Captain Vaughn. He's the 1/6 scale collectible figure from the Star Wars Clone Wars lineup, indicated by this blue and yellow striping going on. Again, image of him, Hot Toys logo. This side features a different image of him. This side just features his name. Around back, you have some information about the sculptors and the companies, you know, that were involved in the making. And so just a lot of promo stuff going on. And, well, Disney sticker there, bark. So very standard toy box things. Now, Hot Toys boxes open much like a shoebox, where you just lift the top away, and you have, in this case, a very dynamic picture of Captain Vaughn fighting the forces of Death Watch. And if you remove that, you see the figure in his tray, surrounded by his accessories. That's as far as I'm going to go on the packaging segment. Let's get this guy out of his plastic sarcophagus and take a look at Vaughn and everything he comes with. So Captain Vaughn here comes with a plethora of accessories. Yes, that's an SAT word. And I will go through them one by one. So there, of course, are your numerous hands and blasters. We will start by the things that he can carry or have put onto him. We will start with the Clone Trooper like DC-15 rifle. It looks very, very nice. It's in a dark gray plastic with just a smidge of silver dry brushing to give it a little bit of life. There is some nice bronze paint apps put on some of the hinge points, you know, not all of them necessarily moving, but it is just a very nicely detailed weapon. The stock can swing back that far, and I don't know if it's meant to be like a support for sniping or whatever. I know on the Stormtrooper ones they can go all the way back to be like a shoulder stock, but the clones never really ever move them in any media they're ever in, so I don't really understand the point of making it movable, but they did. And it has a little hole in the tip for like a blast effect. Maybe some third-party people make those. This did not come with any blast effects, which doesn't bother me so much because I'm not a big blast effect guy, but it's just nice that it's there. And then you have the longer DC-15 rifle. And this is also in that dark gray plastic that is almost black, but not quite, with a healthy smattering of silver dry brushing. It features some silver and then just a hue of purple near the center, near the hole at the end of the barrel, indicating like heat staining, which is really cool. And it looks really nice. It looks very accurate. It looks like one of two weapons I would give any clone trooper they ever make. From there are a couple of wearable accessories. So two of these are pretty much meant to stay on unless you're ever going to put them back in the box. He comes with this little gray box with a silver antenna on it, and this is meant to mount. Let me just keep that to the back. It mounts to the side of the helmet. It is just off for shipping purposes. And then similarly, he comes with this little blue mount with like a tiny stub antenna and a longer antenna, and this pegs onto his shoulder pad. And there, let's just press that in as far as that goes. And now we have him looking very much like he does 99% of the time. He's basically just a 332nd or 501st, if you will, Commander Cody. However, something worth noting as we get into that helmet sculpt in a little bit is they actually reused Commander Cody. You see on his chin, this is the prototype figure. It made its way all the way to the box. He's got those like 6 tally marks on his chin. They're sculpted in. This guy does not have those sculpted, so they actually gave him a correct retool where appropriate. But for the original concept art, they did just paint Commander Cody these colors. I probably wouldn't have even said anything. You know, I wouldn't have noticed it. But I know some people do catch that kind of thing, and so it is nice to see them put in that amount of detail for something that just from that curb glance, you're like, oh, it's just Commander Cody. You know, it's not. There is some differences. So he comes with a jump pack. This is very much like what Commander Cody carries. It is in that nice white, although it's very dingy white because this guy's got hella weathering. And it has that nice bronze inner cylinder there. It's very shiny and metallic looking. And around the back, there is a felted area because there's a magnet. And this magnets onto his back very securely. I don't fear that falling off. I guess anything is possible, but it's not very high on my list of things that are likely to happen. He comes with a communicator, which is very nicely detailed. Nice, copper and silver coloring. There's a peg hole in the middle of this one side, and he comes with 2 hologram statues, one being Captain Rex and one being Ahsoka, and they both peg very easily into the communicator. And he comes with a swappable right hand that is just splayed open and meant to rest this in. You got to find the right position. There's a little bit of a balancing act to it, but now he is communicating with Commander Tano, and that is just really, really cool. I love this accessory. I don't know that it's going to make it to the shelf. It probably will somewhere along the way. But yeah, speaking of swappable hands, this right hand is just a splayed out hand. It almost looks like a force hand even. Has that blue back plate to it with a lot of nice scuffing on it. Before we get too into the swappable hands, I will point out it comes with 2 replacement wrist pegs, should you happen to damage a wrist peg. I don't hear about it happening very often, but it's nice that they include them. He also comes with an alternate right hand, which is sculpted like a trigger finger, and again, that blue back of hand plate. There we go. Quit mixing all my words up. He comes with a left-handed trigger finger. He comes with a left-handed thumbs up. We talked about these in my Wolfpack Trooper review. It's just kind of a generic emoting, yes sir, thumbs up hand. And then he comes with a left-handed pointing finger. And then just right out of the box, he comes with 2, I'm not unfocusing, 2 relaxed hands, And again, they all come with those blue back of the hand plates that are equally scuffed. So they look good. These are kind of supporting the rifle or a relaxed hand, or it serves a few different purposes, but it does ultimately look pretty good. And then he comes with this stand. This is that kind of floor stand that we've seen on a lot of Hot Toys clones. I've seen some weathered. This one happens to be clean, and then it has Captain Vaughn on the silver plaque on the front. This one is a crotch grabber stand. So like my Wolfpack review had one that kind of like springs around his waist. This one kind of just cups them in the nethers. You know, you spread these apart. The rubbers kind of grab onto the armor plate there. I like this style because it's a little bit more subtle. It hides a little bit more, but it's kind of just a personal preference at that point on whether you do or don't like that. Bringing Vaughn up close to the camera, this guy just commands aura. So this guy is really, really cool. So the 332nd in universe are just the 501st with some Ahsoka decals on their helmet. It was done as just a tribute to her, and then the 501st needed to be split because Anakin was taking the majority of the 501st back to Coruscant for the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, but Ahsoka needed some troopers to help liberate Mandalore, so all of them that had done this sign of solidarity by painting her markings on their helmet became their own separate force, the 332nd Legion. And maybe if things had gone differently, they might have gone back with the 501st eventually, you know, had some old wounds healed. But unfortunately, we never got that far because tragedy. But this is, from the neck down, a 501st Commander Cody, but the helmet is definitely what really drew me to it. Like I said, I love this Legion. They're my favorite clone Legion, and just having some representation on my Hot Toy shelf was a requirement, and Vaughn is just a really, really cool way to represent them. You know, he's one of them with rank. I'm going to bend his knees just to get him down a little bit lower. Looking at this head sculpt, like I said, get it in focus. But it is very much a Commander Cody-like helmet. You know, you see that visor and the little side antennas, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what that is. But, you know, there are little subtle differences. Like I said, the 6 lines sculpted into Cody's chin are not sculpted in here. You know, there is just a lot of really nice weathering going on. Like I said, that side antenna there is mounted on. He's got the little black antenna on this side. The orange, yep. 212 Hunter got an orange marked clone trooper on my shelf. Took him a while, right? But it's just really cool having, you know, that orange Ahsoka markings. The visor is a bit of a burgundy color. And then, you know, he's got some little burgundy right under the, well, like the eye plate visor portion. But you do have a lot of orange around the mouth, around the top. You see her eyebrow and forehead markings have been recreated here in paint very nicely. And he does feature a very nice glossy black visor in there. It catches the eyes. He has the silver tipped like breathing apparatuses. And then you start working down. He is rocking the Clone Trooper soft goods bodysuit. And then the armor plates slide up and down as you pose them. And the shoulder pads, you can kind of see there's like an elastic band that goes around and catches the shoulder pad front and back. There is some very nice weathering going on here. You know, you think of a clone trooper and you think of like, oh, a white armored guy. You know, there might be some colored stripes indicating a legion. This guy, I don't know that I would even call him white. He's kind of like light gray, because he just has a subtle dinge all over that white armor. And then, of course, you have some heavier weathering in like the high parts, you know, where he'd be rubbing against things as he's running around and accumulating dirt. So he just looks really, really cool. He features the Commander Cody shoulder pads. They're a little bit elongated. Features some sculpted in lines. And, of course, the antenna, as mentioned, which was a removable part, go down. He has the gray abdomen. That's also a Commander Cody type of marking. I like the gray stripe down the arms and the gray on the communicator. It just really, really pops. That jetpack looks awesome, or the jump pack, I guess, looks awesome on the back. Get down to the legs. I'll straighten them back out. And you see he has the 501st Standard 2 blue stripes down and the 501st Standard like A on the chest. And this all just looks really, really good. There's just some great subtle weathering. It's a little heavier in places. You know, his left leg got a little muddier than his right, but the right is still definitely murky. There's scuffing, damaging, you know, to the blue stripes because, you know, Vaughn, although I don't think we'd ever seen him in anything, and I say that as in he definitely never had his name dropped before Season 7. Maybe he was a background guy somewhere else. I don't know the lore that deeply, but I do believe he was just created for Season 7. But Vaughn is just a really, really cool character, even though we only see him briefly. Just loyal to the end, and that's something that is just to be admired about the clones. That's why I like him as much as I do. But looking him over, he does look very, very nice. He has been created very well. He's been taken from that animated look and translated to the real life impeccably here. I just love everything going on with this Hot Toys Vaughn. To run through some articulation, I'm gonna probably say it at least 2 more times before we're done, but there is a highly articulated body underneath of the black bodysuit, which then has armor pieces slid on top of it. So it's going to be very much like wearing a real life suit of armor, where you think you probably could get more range out of it, but the armor hinders it, and that's just the nature of wearing armor. So let's see what I can make happen here. The head is on like a double ball joint neck, so you can really get... Oops, I accidentally just knocked off his jump pack. I'm gonna set that down. You can get unlimited head range. You can look pretty far up, pretty far down, of course rotate, pivot, get some attitude out of him. His arms can come up. You function with those elastics. You can get him up to a T-pose, which is nice. Technically, I'm sure the arms can go 360 around at the shoulder. There's definitely forward and back, but because of the nature of him having a soft goods bodysuit, I don't want to get the fabric super taut up in there. But he does have a really nice front and back butterfly joint. Get the arm put back up. Double jointed elbows. The armor starts hindering them a good bit past 90, so that's nice. And then there is a bicep swivel in there. I don't believe, because they're double joints, there probably can't be an elbow swivel in there. Now the wrists are a joint with a peg on each side. So right now this one is positioned, let me slide that gauntlet back up. It's positioned to go up and down, but if you rotate it, you can make it go in and out. It's just about how you have that positioned. There are mid-torso crunches that allow them to go about that far forward, which isn't a ton. You can also go about that far back. Also not a ton, but it's in there, you can get some twist on them. And then his legs can do, that's a pretty good wide split. He can kick, there's a little ratchet in the hip. If you rotate the thigh armor, you can kick straight forward, a little bit back, and then there is a double jointed knee that the armor starts to bunch on a little past 90 degrees. And then the ankles are on a ball joint, so they can go up and down, not like an insane degree. Definitely like some Black Series will go further down, but that's like enough for most running poses. And of course, you have all the pivot you could ever want, and that truly is what matters when it comes to putting a character in some sort of stance. So there we have him stood up like so. Let me go ahead and put him in an awesome pose and get him on the spinning stand and give you some final thoughts. So at the end of the day, what do I think of this Hot Toys Captain Vaughn? I love this guy. This guy is so cool. He definitely scratches that itch that I had for some 332nd representation in Hot Toys. However, you can go and track down that 501st Deluxe Hot Toy, which came with a swappable 332nd helmet. It's not that expensive on the third-party market. It was definitely produced in large quantities, and if you are looking to do any kind of big squad building, it's not the hardest Hot Toy to acquire. However, I've just given myself rules. No army building in Hot Toys. It's expensive. I can army build in Black Series. I've already army built quite a bit of Black Series. But I needed some representation on that Hot Toys shelf, and I'm glad to have it here. Captain Vaughn is such a cool figure, and he's a cool character. Even though we don't see him all that long, he was loyal to his commander till the end, and that is respectable. And Vaughn just has some awesome shelf presence. So I love this guy. If you don't have a Hot Toys Commander Vaughn and you're thinking about it, I suspect you might as well. Thank you so much to 212 Hunter. Again, a video is dedicated to you, the Cheese Prince. I appreciate this Christmas gift immensely. It will be a forever reminder in my collection of you and our friendship. So I appreciate this one immensely. Thank you everyone for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, all the end of video stuff. I know this is my second Hot Toys review in like a week. I don't really have any others right now. If I pick up more throughout the year, I will review them. I do have a couple that I would like to get sooner than later. So, reviews are always possible. If it's something that's super old, I might not. But this one, I definitely needed to talk about. So, anyways, appreciate y'all. I will see you in the next video, hopefully tomorrow. May the Force be with each and every one of you, and have a good day.